everyone, it's Jessica. Thanks for stopping by today as I create this scrapbooking page for the mystery envelope challenge that I'm doing with my friends from the Makers with Heart group. And this month, my friend Katie has sent out all of these pretty pieces here. We've got some mix-in paper from January and February, a couple of papers from the Sweet as Honey collection, and also she cut this really cute scalloped card thin cut out for us and sent some black and white dots. Now I am going to pull in my Sweet as Honey card making workshop stamp since it is Sweet as Honey. And then I've also, you can't really see it very well on here, but I've used my Cricut to cut out a hexagon stitching file from Paige Evans because I'm just going to go with the bee theme since she did send us the Sweet as Honey paper, and that's kind of the direction I am going to take with it. Now you can see here I've already done a lot of the stitching work, and around the outer edge of my stitching file I used a chain link stitch in a slightly darker yellow color. And then what I've just been doing is when I get to an inner hexagon, I just take my piercing tool and I like to re-poke those holes that the Cricut poked. It just makes it easier for my needle and thread to slide through. And then I did a regular back stitch for the inner pieces in a slightly lighter yellow color. And so that's kind of my idea. I've got these three pictures of two of my children. They had been playing king and queen and made some crowns for themselves. And so I thought that I would kind of play off the queen bee idea for these papers that Katie sent me. And that's about all that I have at this point. Like I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this or how I'm going to pull this together. I was like, all right, hexagons. And then I stitched them. And then the other idea that I have is I kind of want to take this little envelope thing and make it my journaling spot. And I'm going to cut some slits in my page protector so that it's like an interactive element on the outside of my page that the flaps will like open on the outside. So those are my thoughts at this early point of the game. Now, Katie did say that we can use white and black cardstock as well as one other color. So I've decided that I'm going to mat my page on a piece of black cardstock. So I'm just gutting out the middle here to save some of that. And I just cut, I think, 1 inch all the way around so that I have a 10-inch square cut out in the middle. And then thank goodness that she did say that we can use another color of cardstock as well, because that ends up kind of saving me later as I am struggling to put this design together. So I'm going to mat my page here, and then I've already stitched this on a 12 by 12 piece of white daisy. So I just go around and cut off, I want to say 1/4 inch from each side. That way it ends up being 11.5 by 11.5. And I just cut 1/4 inch off each edge. That way I can make sure that my hexagon stayed, my honeycomb thing here stayed centered in the middle of the page. So, okay, so I've got that part done. And honestly, guys, as I was putting this together, I would like do a little part and then I'd get stumped and I would kind of sit and look at it and then I'd have to walk away. And so I really, like I said, I wanted to kind of use this envelope piece as a journaling with an interactive element, but I thought, well, maybe I could put it behind my pattern paper like this and it could just kind of look, I don't know, I kind of play around a little bit. You can see me, doing a lot of thinking in this video as I go through that creative process. And also I did show you those pictures that I had of my children. I just printed them to Walgreens quickly as 4x6s, but I do have them coming to me in the mail from Persnickety Prints, and I printed them from Persnickety in 3x4 and also a couple of 2x2s because I thought that size would work better. So I've decided to use my stitched hexagons and some Sundance cardstock because I thought that there just felt like there was way too much white space on this page. And so I kind of cut 1 or 2 here just to test out to see if I like it. And I think that I do. I'm going to go ahead and cut more of those hexagons. And I did the larger hexagons on the lighter side of the Sundance paper. And then I'm going to fill all of those in. And I think that was really what this page needed. As beautiful as that stitching file was, it just, like I said, it had way too much white space and it was kind of really stumping me a little bit, and I felt like I didn't know what to do with it at that point. But once I got these hexagons in, then I felt much happier about this page coming together. And then I took the smaller, next down size, smaller hexagon in that set, and I cut them on the darker side of Sundance. And I kind of play around a little bit with maybe putting them in some of those spots where the photos won't be. And I do ultimately keep my photos in this spot. And now I'm just trying to figure out how to incorporate that envelope piece. Now, before I glue anything else down, I'm going to grab my Dina Wakley gloss spray in the Gilt color. I love this stuff. If you guys don't have this yet, oh my goodness, it is such a good investment. It is just beautiful. It makes these like gorgeous gold sparkles, and I don't really spray it very often. I mostly just kind of open the top up and then like tap it against my project in this empty box. And it just kind of makes these really pretty gold splatters, and it does dry pretty quickly. So that's an easy way just to add a little bit of extra sparkle to your project. There, you can see there, isn't that so fun? And so I'm just kind of playing off that whole like gold idea and color since I've got this hexagon and honeycomb thing going with the Sweetest Honey papers here. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the papers that Katie sent me, and I'm kind of, again, playing with this envelope piece, trying to figure out what to do with it. I want to use some more of the pieces that she sent me, so I think I'm going to take one of those papers and layer it on the inside, kind of like an inner mat. And so I have just cut that down and then scored it a little bit, and then I'm going to adhere it on the inside of this envelope piece. And then I think I'm going to put a rectangle in there, and as that will be my journaling spot, and then I will use the other little flap as a place to kind of decorate and fancy it up just a little bit. So like I said, my thought was to take this and cut 2 slits in my page protector, so that way the top and the bottom part of the flap will be coming out on the outside of my page protector, and then you could open it up and then you could read what the journaling says, and that part will be behind the protection of the page protector. So that's the idea anyway, and that's why I'm trying to kind of see where I can put this in here that it's going to fit with my 3 photos. And again, I'm trying to use some more of that paper that she sent me, so I thought, well, maybe I'll cover like the front part of it or something, and then just that flap comes down, and then I didn't really like that. So you'll see I kind of mess around with it quite a bit. I'm sorry, Katie, I know you're going to be watching this. I was really trying to use as many of the papers as you sent me because I love that Sweetest Honey collection. And then I grabbed the other one and I thought, well, maybe I will mat my photos, because I've decided I'm going to go with the 2x2 photos that I have coming in the mail. I am going to maybe mat my photos with this. I don't know. And then I'm kind of playing with that belly band piece too. So I went ahead and cut a photo mat just to test out to see if I liked it. And I thought, okay, well, I could probably do that. And then, do you know what I realized? This is why math is not my strong suit. I was like, oh my gosh, it was a 4x6 piece of paper, and I cut it at 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And so now I don't have enough of that paper to mat 3 different photos. So that was really stupid. I did that quite a bit throughout the process of making this page. I really did cut up all of those pieces of paper that she sent me until the point, because I kept trying different things. And so I would cut them up and then it wouldn't work. And then eventually I couldn't use a lot of it because I had ruined them. But here you can see I did take my card making stamp set with the thin cut, and I cut out a couple of those B's, and then there's that tag that's sitting right there. And I did use one of the little scraps of paper that I still had left over to cut that little ticket. Not a tag, it's a ticket, I'm sorry. So here's that rectangle I talked about. I'm going to put that there, and then later I will stamp some journaling lines on that, and that will be the journaling spot. And then I think I'm just going to decorate the top and the bottom here with a little something. So I don't know. This is that belly band piece that if you were making a card with this thin cut this piece that she had sent us, then this would be like the belly band piece that closes everything. And it does have a really pretty like stitched detail around it. So I just snipped a part of it off, and then I put a dovetail in it because I thought, well, maybe I can kind of use that as like a little banner or a flag or something. I didn't end up using it there on that envelope, but I do use it later on my page. And so here you can see I'm just kind of decorating trying to decorate somehow, some way, with some of these pieces that I've got going here. So then there is this cute little, like, I don't know what you would call it. Like, it's the little fly trail, you know, when the bee is buzzing around and then you can see the little trail of where it's been flying. There's a stamp like that in the stamp set, so I stamped that up at the top. And then there's a block of text on the stamp set as well, and I just kind of stamped it, you know, crooked on my hexagon, and then I'm going to have that layered, or the other pieces layered over top of it. And then I will attach that bee with a little bit of foam tape. Okay, now to hold my envelope closed, these are some old hook and loop dots that Close to My Heart used to sell 1,000 years ago, and I still have some in my stash, although you could definitely get something like this just from a craft store, and that's how I'm going to keep my envelope closed, because those flaps do like to pop up a little bit, since obviously I didn't use that belly band. And then now I am trying to use up some of the black and white enamel dots that Katie sent us, and I'm going to scatter those around not only the inside of my envelope here, but later I will put some around on my page as well. I love these black and white dots. They're so pretty. Okay, so since I had ruined that other piece of paper, I just grabbed some black cardstock and I matted my photos in black instead. And I think that ends up really making a difference. Like, that's what it needed. It needed to pop off the page just a little bit. And so I've decided I'm going to go ahead and go with my envelope down there, just kind of turned a little bit crooked in the lower left corner. And then same thing, these bees, and I'm going to put in my open hexagons. I'm going to give them that little buzzing fly trail. And then I'm going to go back to that block of text, and I really love it. It's one of my favorite parts of the stamp set, and I want a little bit of that text to be peeking out from underneath where these photos will be. So I put it in a different spot in all three of them. So some of them are over to the right side, some are to the left side. This one here is going to be peeking out of the top. So I just stamped that a little bit, so it's just kind of peeking. There's that flag that was part of that belly band, and it was just a little long how I originally cut it, so I cut it shorter. But again, I loved that because it has, you can't really see it here on camera, but some really cool stitching details that are on there. And then I thought about layering a second one, but it didn't work. So then I went to my scraps of paper, but I didn't end up making a second flag. It just didn't quite go together. Now I have put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my envelope here. I wanted something that was stronger than just tape runner, and so I don't even know exactly what I use, what brand it is, but definitely something that has a stronger hold than some tape runner. And then I want to indicate to whoever is looking at my scrapbook that this is where the journaling is and you should open it up. So we went to the February stamp of the month, and there's one in there that says, "Here's the story." So I stamped that on the flap. And then before I stamped my title down on my page and ruin everything at this point, I did start stamping it on a scrap piece of paper just to make sure it was going to work, and it did. So it's going to say Queen Bee, which is the stamp set from that As Honey Cardmaking Kit. And then I used the farmhouse alphabet to stamp out "and King Alexander." So like I said, these photos are of two of my kids, and they were playing around, playing king and queen, and he was the king, and he was like bossing her around. It was really funny. And so Queen Bee for my daughter, and then King Alexander. And then there's this little grouping of tiny little bees on that stamp set as well, and I just kind of scattered those around with some Sundance ink. And I'm trying to use up the last of my dots that Katie gave me. I think I ended with one black dot left over that I never used, but otherwise I used up all of that part. And so there you can see how that's going to open. And that's it. So yeah, this page, it was definitely a struggle at first. I had a lot of like start and stop, get an idea, didn't work out, cut up my papers, and I'm like, shoot, now that's not going to work. Now I've cut them too small. Like I said, a lot of hiccups along the way, but once I kind of got, about 3/4 of the way through, then it really started to come together. And I am very pleased with the end result. I'm very excited to see what my friends have made with these same pieces that Katie sent them. We don't see each other's until the day that this video goes live. So make make sure that you check out the links down below and you can see what all of the other 6 ladies from the Makers with Heart have created for the Mystery Envelope Challenge. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, happy crafting.